But that train keeps a-rollin' on down to San Antone. Oh, wow! Ugh. Hey there, viewers. Fancy seeing you here. How's it going? That's good to hear. I'm doing well myself, no complaints here. You didn't hear me singing, did you? Never mind that. So, why are you here? Did I have something scheduled? Let me take a look. Oh yeah, I did say I was gonna do a tutorial video. Alright. So you want to learn Blender, huh? Well, I can do my best to teach you something. Am I an expert? No. Far from it, actually. I can't do everything Blender has to offer. I definitely don't dive into anything super complicated with this software. But I do know the basics of 3D modeling, and that's going to be the main subject of this video. Me teaching you how to 3D model. Now, 3D modeling has different levels of complexity to it. If you want to create something with a lot of detail and more in the realm of realism, then it's going to be pretty hard for you, especially if you're just starting out. And it gets frustrating. Starting out simple is the best route to go down to grow your skill set with 3D modeling, and with Blender as a whole. So we're going to start out simple. I would say the hardest part about starting out in Blender is memorizing what hotkeys do what. But once you have those embedded into your skull, and clicking them becomes almost second nature, that's when it becomes easy. So I'm going to go through all of the controls and hotkeys that go into using and 3D modeling inside of Blender. And once I do all of that, I'm going to model something in real time and you guys are going to be able to follow along. Doesn't that sound exciting? I think so. Well, I suppose I've done enough talking. What do you say we hop right into it? Go ahead and open up Blender. I'll be waiting there. Well, no, man, come on. Whatever, I'll worry about it later. Alright, viewers, I hope all of you have Blender open and aren't just watching this video for entertainment. Oh, I'm just playing. I have trust that I'm not making this tutorial for nothing. So when you open Blender, you'll be met with this screen right here. It allows you to choose which kind of file you'd like to work in. On this side, you got General, 2D animation, sculpting, VFX, and video editing. And this side will display the most recent files you've worked on. Since you're watching this, I'm going to assume you either have no recent files or one project you started but never finished because you got frustrated. But that's okay. You don't got to think about that one. We're going to open up a brand new general workspace. And this is what it looks like. You got your camera, your light right there, and the Blender default cube. But we're not going to mess with that stuff just yet. In order for a baby to start growing up and be an adult, it must first be able to take its first steps. And in order for a beginner Blender user to 3D model, they must first learn how to move around the 3D viewport. Now, some of you may already know how to move around, but I'm going to assume most of you don't and go over it anyway. So if you hold down scroll wheel while moving your mouse, you'll find yourself orbiting around the 3D viewport. If you hold shift and mouse wheel at the same time, you can drag your view up, down, left, and right, and by scrolling up, you will zoom in, and by scrolling down, you will zoom out. I recommend messing around with this a little bit just to get used to it. If you don't like this method of moving very much, you can just press shift tilde and you'll be able to move around using WASD. You can move faster in this mode by holding shift, and you can adjust your speed by scrolling up or down on the mouse wheel. The only downside of this form of moving is when you click on something in the viewport, you'll be put out of the mode, and you'll have to press shift tilde every time you need to move. I like to utilize this way of moving for going a large distance, like if I'm modeling a set or something. And if I'm modeling an object or a prop, I utilize the default way of moving, but both are pretty solid. It just comes down to your preference. I like using a mix. So I believe I covered movement fairly well, but I got one more thing for y'all. Here's a list of all of the movement controls I just listed. It's the first of 2 cheat sheets you're gonna get. Feel free to screenshot it and look back if you ever get a little lost or forget something while you're still learning. It happens. And with that out of the way, we can finally jump into the hotkeys for modeling. Now, pay close attention. A selects everything. G is to grab and move an object. R is to rotate. S is to scale. In either grab mode, rotate mode, or scale mode, you can press X, Y, or Z to lock it on a certain axis. Tab switches between edit mode and object mode. Holding Z opens a menu that allows you to switch between wireframe, solid view, and rendered view. At the top of your keyboard, 1 is for vertex select mode, 2 is for edge select, and 3 is for face select. On the number pad, 1 takes you to front view, Control 1 takes you to back view, 3 takes you to the right side, Control 3 takes you to the left side. 7 takes you to top view, and Control 7 takes you to the bottom view. E is to extrude geometry. Control R is to add loop cuts to your mesh. I insets faces. Control J joins multiple objects into one object. Over here on the hotbar are a couple tools I like to use for modeling as well. There's the shear tool, it does this. There's the smooth tool, it smooths meshes. And sometimes I use the knife tool, which allows you to cut new topology into your mesh. Alright, so that's basically all of the hotkeys you really need to know for modeling. I know it's quite a bit to memorize, but that's okay, because I got a whole nother cheat sheet for you. Woo! That's 2 whole cheat sheets. Man, I sure wish I had some cheat sheets like this when I first started out. Oh yeah, that's right, modeling. With all these keys listed out for you, I think it's time we model something together. What do you think about that? But what should I model? I got it. We're gonna model this simple, low-poly version of me. Aw, isn't that just the cutest thing you ever seen? And it's on brand with my channel. And if you follow along step by step, you'll have one of your very own. I'm gonna head back to the outside world, and then we're gonna hop right into it. I'll see you in a little bit. Alright viewers, now that I'm back in the real world, we can get started on this real-time tutorial. So, we're going to be modeling that low poly blank, and if you follow along exactly what I do, you'll have one of your very own. So, let's get started. We can start off by pressing A, and then X. X is the command that deletes stuff. I did not mention it earlier, but X deletes stuff. So, go and press delete, and then we're going to go and press Shift A, and then we're going to go to Mesh, and then we're going to add a cube. And with our cube added, we can go and press number pad 1 to enter front view. And then we're going to go and press tab to enter edit mode, and we're going to press 2 to enter edge select mode. And with that done, we can go ahead and start scaling our cube. So, what I like to do is press G and then Z to move it up just a little bit on the Z axis. And then what we can do is press S to scale, and then Z just to make the cube just a bit taller. And I'd say that this is a good length right there. So with it scaled up, we can go ahead and press S and then X just to scale it a little skinnier. Alright, and now we can go and press number pad 3 to enter the side view. And then we're going to go and press S and then Y just to scale it a little thinner on the Y axis. And I would say that this is a good area because we're going to be smoothing out the mesh, and you want to have it have just a little thickness to it. So with our cube scaled and proportioned correctly, I would say that it looks pretty good. You should have something that looks like this. We're going to go ahead and subdivide it. Now, there is the subdivision modifier, but we're not going to be using that. In fact, we're not going to be using that whatsoever for this tutorial. If I make more tutorials in the future, I will go over it, but right now we don't need it. we're just going to be pressing right click, and then we're going to go right here, and then we're going to press subdivide. And right down here, a little menu will open, and we can just go ahead and click that, have the drop down open, and then we're going to adjust the number of cuts to 2. So we'll have something that looks like this. And with that done, we can go ahead and press A to select the whole thing. And over here on the hotbar, we're going to go ahead and press the smooth tool. And so like I said, the smooth tool, it smooths meshes, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and click the yellow handle, and then we're going to just smooth out the mesh. And so with the whole mesh smoothed out, it should look something like this, which looks perfect for a low poly blank to me. So then we're going to go ahead and click out of the smooth tool. So go up here, select box, our little cursor thing for selecting. And then we're going to go ahead and press number pad 1 again. And then we're going to select our mesh, press G and then Z, and just move it up on the Z axis. Alright, so with the torso modeled, we can go ahead and move on to the arms. So what we're going to do is press tab to enter object mode, and then we're going to press Shift A to add a cube, and then we're going to go ahead and move over here to the little wrench on the right side toolbar area, and we're going to go ahead and go to add modifier. We're going to go over to generate, go down to mirror, and we're going to add a mirror modifier. With that added, we're going to go and press tab to enter back into edit mode, and then we're going to press G, X, and move it on the X axis outward, and you're going to see that it has mirrored. And then start to raise the cubes up, make sure that it looks like it would be in line. These are going to be the hands. We're going to start off with the hands. So what we're going to do next is press S to scale the hands down to, I would say that makes sense. I would say that's a good size for the hands. And then we're going to go ahead and press right click on the mesh, on the cube, and we're going to hit subdivide again. We're going to add our 2 loop cuts, and it's going to look like a bit of a Rubik's Cube looking shape with all those loop cuts. And then we're going to go ahead and press A, go over here to the smooth option, the smooth tool, and we're going to go ahead and just drag out the handle, the yellow handle, and we got ourselves a little ball hand right here. Alright, now that we got a little ball hand, this is where it's going to stop. We're not trying to do anything too complicated all right now. This is still targeted mostly for beginners. So now that we got our little ball hand, we can go ahead and go back up to our select, to our cursor select, and then we're going to go ahead and click this face right here. So make sure you press 3 on the numpad. Make sure that you're in face select mode. We're going to press this face, and then we're going to press I to inset it about that much. And then we're going to press numpad 1, and with that face still selected, we're going to press E to extrude. And we'll say that the arms will be about that long, and we're just going to press A again, press G, and then just move it up on the Z axis just to have it sit around where the shoulder should sit. You know, there are no shoulders present on this model, but we'll call this little area shoulder. Alright, now that we got the arms and the torso done, what we're going to do is move on to the legs. So what we're going to do is tab back into object mode, and then we're going to press Shift A, and we're going to add a cube again. And, you know, like we did with the arms, we're going to go over to the modifier area, add modifier, generate, and then we're going to go to mirror. And, you know, once that's done, we can tab right back into edit mode, and we can use this right here. This gizmo right here is the move gizmo. I like to use it sometimes. Other times, I just like to utilize G. And we're just going to move it on the X axis. So G, X, numpad 1 to go back into front view. And we're going to go ahead and move this up. And with that done, we can go ahead and scale the feet down just a little bit. Move it along the X axis a little closer to each other. And then I would say that it would sit right about here. We can go and press 3 for side view, make sure it sits roughly like this, and then we can go ahead and make sure we're in face select, select the front face right here of the foot, press G and then Y, just to move it on the Y axis just a little bit, just to give the foot some length to it. And I would say that we can probably scale it just a little bit more down, maybe on the x-axis. All right, yeah. All right, that looks good to me. And then we can go ahead and add a couple of loop cuts to the mesh. So we're gonna just go ahead and add 2 loop cuts going up, and we're just gonna move them slightly to the left. And with those added, we can add 2 more loop cuts going sideways down the foot, and should look something like this. And with that done, we can go ahead and utilize the smooth tool again, and we're just gonna smooth it out just a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. And with it all smoothed out, we can go ahead and select our cursor again, make sure we're in edge select mode, and we're just gonna start giving the feet the rough shape of my existing characters. So I did redesign the feet to look more kind of like boots from like a cartoon character. So since it's all like smoothed out already, there isn't much that needs to be done. As you can see, I'm utilizing the axis tool. I just like it's just the move gizmo. I call it a move gizmo, and we're just gonna slowly start adding a shape to the boot. So I'm using this. You can just press G, Y, move it out like this. But I would say that the movement gizmo is pretty good. All right. So I believe that looks pretty good to me. So as you can see, we got our boots right here. We've shaped it. So sorry if I went a little fast there, but you can press G, Y, make sure that you're getting the rough shape after you've smoothed it out. You should look something like this, and then we're gonna go ahead and press the face select, 3 at the top of the keyboard. We're gonna select this face right here, and we're gonna press I to inset it, like we did before. And as you can see, it's gonna create this kind of rectangular shape right here, but we kind of want it to look more like a cube. So we're gonna press S, and then scale it on the x-axis, so SX, scale it just slightly. We're gonna go ahead and go back to edge select, and then scale this edge right here and make it just look slightly more like a cube, more like a square, I mean. And I'd say that looks pretty good. And we can go ahead and enter number pad 1 for front view again, and we're gonna go ahead and press E, and we're going to extrude the leg upward. And let's see, that's a little too thin for my liking, actually. So we're going to go ahead and go back, and we're just going to scale the entire cube up just a little bit. And with that done, we can go ahead and E and extrude. You can go back into the number pad, make sure that it's roughly the way it's supposed to be. And like, as we can see, the legs are a little too far apart. We can go ahead and move it in on the x-axis, so G, and then X, move it in just a little bit. All right, so with the legs extruded, it looks like there's just a bit of a lean to them. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna just select, and we're gonna go into 3, and then we can just press G and then G and then Y, just to move it on the Y-axis, just like that. And we're gonna straighten the legs out, and I'd say that looks pretty good. All right, and now with that done, we can go ahead and press G. We can press A to select the entire leg, and what I like to do is press R and then Z just to rotate the legs out just a little bit. We can go ahead and it gives it just a little bit. It just makes it look nice, I think. And there we have it. We have ourselves legs, arms, and a torso. And what we can do now is go into object mode. So press tab to enter object mode. And what we're going to do is click on our legs, go to the modifier area, and then we're going to click this little arrow and apply our modifiers. And we're going to do the same thing with the arms. So apply modifiers, and there we go. We have ourselves arms, legs, and a torso for our low poly blank. So for the head, you would think I would add a UV sphere, but personally, I think that looks just a bit too smooth for a low poly blank. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a cube to the scene again, and we're gonna go ahead and tab back into edit mode. We're gonna press G, Z, and we're gonna move it up on the Z axis again. We're gonna move it up on the Z axis, and then we're gonna go ahead and just scale it up just a little bit, and then we're gonna do what we did with the hands, and we're gonna press subdivide, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna open our menu up at the bottom left hand side, and we're gonna go ahead and give it a number of 2 cuts, and then we're gonna go back into the smooth tool. All right, with the smooth tool selected, we can go ahead and just drag this handle out and make the head look more like a sphere. So there we have it. We have ourselves a low poly blank. And if you followed along, this should be similar to what you have. And if you wanted to, we can add materials to our character, because if we go to material view, it's just the solid default white that goes with any object model. So what we can do to add materials is go over to the material tab right over here, and then we can go ahead and go up here to our material area, and we can go to the base color, and we're going to go ahead and adjust the arms and the legs first. We can go to the base color and just drag it down and make it solid black, and we can do the exact same thing for the arms. We can go to this little drop down menu, and then we're going to go and select black again that we've already selected for our arms. And then for the shirt, we can go add a new material, go down to the base color, and the color is very similar to a bluish purplish, and the head can stay the same. And you can add cell shaded shaders to this and all that, but we're not going to go over this and that in this video. I'd say that this tutorial has already dragged on long enough, and probably sounds like the ramblings of an insane man. This is the first time I did anything in real time, any sort of Blender project or anything like that in real time, so hopefully it helped you out, and if it did, let me know. But this is where it's going to end. I'm going to go back on script and finish this video out. Alright viewers, we're rolling right into the outro. I'm going to make sure this is very quick, very short. So I'm taking a 2-week break from working on videos. I'm going to shift my attention over to a super secret project that I have in mind. And if progress goes the way I want it to, then I will be announcing the project after those 2 weeks. So be ready for that, hopefully. Next up, I want to shout out 2300 on YouTube. He did all of the sound effects and music in my last video, as well as provided the background music used in this video. So huge shout out to him, and links to him will be in the description. I also want to apologize for taking so long to release this video. I was hit with a lot in this last month, and I haven't really had much time to work on it, and the time I did have, I definitely didn't give it my all. And it shows. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you're a beginner to Blender, I sure hope this video helped you out. If you followed along with the tutorial and made yourself a low poly blank, I'd love to see it. You can @ me here on YouTube or on Instagram. A link to that will be in the description, and I want to thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.